Did Ukraine's primary unit really destroy a Belarusian Polonez MRL? And what is this missile system capable of? Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. I'm Alex, and with me is Arya. You're joining us for the latest deep dive from Defense Report, where we give you a sharp, no-nonsense breakdown of what's happening in global defense, military tech, and grand strategy.
And today we are breaking down a story that I think signals a really dangerous new phase in the conflict.
It really does. This one involves one of Ukraine's most elite strike units, a special operations component of their main Directorate of Intelligence.
And a very advanced, very long-range missile system that was supplied by Russia's closest ally, Belarus.
So this is much more than just a battle report. This is about escalation, it's about technology, and it's about what is, frankly, quickly becoming a nuclear flashpoint right on NATO's eastern flank.
So the core question we're digging into today is this. Did Ukraine's main Directorate of Intelligence special unit, the one known as Prymary, actually succeed in neutralizing a Belarusian Polonez MRL system?
Right. This reportedly happened in occupied Crimea on December 26, 2025. And if that's a yes, then we need to understand two things. First, what exactly is this Polonez-M? Why are people calling it unparalleled in Europe? What can it really do?
And second, what does taking out a system like this tell us about the future of warfare? You know, this new reality where huge, expensive assets are being hunted deep behind enemy lines.
Exactly. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start with the facts of the strike itself.
So the reports are, as you said, centered on December 26, 2025. The location is somewhere in occupied Crimea.
And if this is confirmed, and we're waiting on things like independent satellite analysis, this would be the first time a Belarusian Polonez MRL has been taken out in the combat zone.
The very first. And the unit credited, this Prymary or Ghosts unit, it's really important to understand who they are.
We've tracked them before. Their operations in 2025 were significant. But this target, a piece of hardware from Minsk with this kind of range, it feels like a deliberate escalation in targeting from the HUR.
It absolutely is. I mean, you've hit the main point right there. This is so much more than a tactical victory.
Right.
This is clear evidence of a much deeper military and technical integration between Minsk and Moscow. Until now, Belarus has mostly been seen as, you know, a staging ground, a logistics hub.
The supporting actor.
Exactly. But putting their most advanced long-range system into Crimea, that suggests a level of operational involvement that's, well, it's a whole new ballgame.
And it shines a big spotlight on the kind of tech that's proliferating in the region. The Polonez isn't some old Soviet system pulled out of storage.
Not at all. And that's where we need to dig into the technical side. So the Polonez MRL was first developed by Belarus back in the mid-2010s.
I'm not alone.
No, not alone. They had heavy collaboration with the China Academy of Launch Vehicle Technology, or CLT.
One of China's top state-run aerospace giants.
Right, and the whole idea was to give Belarus a kind of strategic, long-range, non-nuclear deterrent.
So it's a Sino-Belarusian hybrid weapon. And the base model was already pretty capable, but the one that was reportedly hit, the M version, that's where things get really serious.
That's the leap. The Polonez-M integrates the A300 missile. And the one feature, the thing that makes this system such a threat, is its range.
Which is what?
It can hit targets up to 290, maybe 300 kilometers away.
300 kilometers. That's a huge distance. From the border regions, that covers almost all of Ukraine. And it can threaten NATO territory directly.
It can. And it's not just about range. The precision is what's key here. This isn't like old school rocket artillery where you're just saturating an area.
So how accurate is it at 300 kilometers?
Well, this is where the Chinese tech comes in. It uses a combination of inertial navigation, INS, plus it gets updates from both GPS and GLONASS satellites.
So it's guided all the way in?
All the way in. It brings its accuracy, the CEP, down into the same category as tactical ballistic missiles. It is a very precise, very fast weapon.
Okay, precision and range. What about firepower? How does it compare to, say, the HIMARS system?
Well, its ability to concentrate fire it's genuinely unmatched in its class. A single Polonez-M launcher carries 8 missiles.
8.
And here's the crazy part. It can engage 8 different targets at the same time in one 50-second salvo.
Wow.
Yeah. It can saturate a 20 by 20 kilometer area in a single go. Just think what that does to an airfield or a big logistics depot.
So when Belarusian officials, like their chief of the general staff, claim this system is unparalleled in Europe, Is that just bluster?
I mean, there's a technical truth to it, specifically on range. If you compare it to HIMARS, which has been so critical for Ukraine,
Right.
the Polonez-M outranges the standard GMLRS rockets by 3 times. HIMARS rockets are, 70 to 90 kilometers? This is 300. It creates a massive sanctuary for the system.
So they can park at 150 kilometers from the front lines, and it's basically untouchable by Ukraine's main precision assets.
What about Russia's own systems? Their modern equivalent is the Tornado-S. It's a powerful system, but its standard guided rockets top out around 120 kilometers. So the Polonez-M is still the range king in that MRL category.
And the platform it's on, I read it uses the same chassis as some Russian systems.
It does. It uses the 8x8 MZKT 7930 chassis. And that is the exact same, very reliable base that Russia uses for its Iskander-M ballistic missile systems.
Which is not an accident. That simplifies logistics, maintenance, training. It just makes everything easier between the two allies.
It does. And that mobility, that ability to shoot and move quickly, brings us to the most alarming development with this system.
This is where we move beyond conventional capabilities.
Way beyond. On January 1st of this year, Gennady Lepeshko, a high-ranking Belarusian official, he publicly confirmed that Russian specialists are working to equip the Polonez.
With a nuclear warhead.
With a nuclear warhead. This isn't a rumor, it's their stated public goal.
It fundamentally changes the security calculus for all of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
You're turning a rocket artillery system into a mobile nuclear delivery vehicle.
And for Minsk, it gives them what they see as a third tier of deterrence. They already have Russian tactical nukes and Iskanders on their soil, but the Polonez-M is, nominally their system.
It gives Lukashenko the perception of control over a nuclear-capable weapon.
Exactly. And because it's so mobile, it's incredibly hard to track, much harder than a fixed airbase or a missile silo. It's a nightmare for defense planners.
And they're not hiding them. They're deploying them right on the border.
Right on the border. Units from the 336th Rocket Artillery Brigade have been seen near Belarus's western border with Poland and Lithuania, and constantly tracked near the Gomel region bordering Ukraine.
Which for Kyiv, that's a huge strategic problem.
A massive one. It forces Ukraine to divert precious intelligence and air defense assets to the north, assets they desperately need in the east and south. It's a constant threat that drains resources.
Which brings us right back to the primary unit and this strike. Because if it's confirmed, it shows that even this high-value, hard-to-find asset is vulnerable.
It highlights the power of asymmetric tactics. You have this multi-million-dollar system, potentially nuclear-capable, taken out by a drone that costs a tiny fraction of that.
So the big question is how? How did a Ukrainian drone get through what is probably some of the densest air defense in the world over Crimea?
This wasn't a lucky shot. The intelligence suggests it was the final step in a very deliberate strategy, a strategy the unit calls tearing out the eyes of the air defense network.
Blinding them before the real strike. Let's break that down. What are they targeting?
They've specialized in hitting the enablers. They systematically hunt the specific radars that are designed to detect small, low-flying targets, like their drones.
So systems like the Costa 2E2 radar.
That's a perfect example. The Costa is built to see low radar cross-section targets at low altitude. It's the early warning system against a drone strike.
So they take that out.
And then they go after things like the Podlet K1 radars. The Podlet K1 is a critical piece that feeds targeting data directly to the big S-400 systems.
So by hitting the Costa and the Podlet, they're not just poking a hole. They're essentially making the entire S-400 system blind to low-flying threats.
That's it. They create a temporary, permissive corridor. And then they send their strike drone, something like an FP1 or FD2, through that corridor to hit the real target, like the Polonez.
It's an incredible display of intelligence-led warfare.
It is. It's a clear sequence.
Mm-hmm.
Intelligence first, degrade the air defenses second, and then strike the high-value asset third. It proves that even deep inside Crimea is no longer a safe zone for Russia.
And looking at the Ghost track record in 2025, this isn't a one-off. It's part of a much larger systematic campaign.
Absolutely. The list of their confirmed hits is it's incredible. They've destroyed 2 Russian An-26 transport planes, a Su-24 bomber, a MiG-29 fighter.
I also saw a report about them hitting 2 B-12 Shaika aircraft.
Yeah.
Why was that so significant?
The B-12 is an old amphibious plane, but it's a workhorse for coastal patrol and anti-submarine warfare for the Black Sea Fleet. Taking out 2 of those isn't just a loss of an airframe, it's a symbolic blow and a real hit to their reconnaissance capabilities.
It really speaks to how the HUR, the Intelligence Directorate, has become this this engine of innovation. They're not just using weapons, they're developing them at wartime speed.
They are. The best example is the Magura Sea drone. It started as a simple kamikaze boat. Now it's a multi-role system. We've seen them sink ships, of course, but there's even a confirmed case of one being adapted to shoot down an enemy jet.
Which is just incredible. And all of this brings us back to the bigger picture and Belarus's role in it. How should we be thinking about Belarus now?
Belarus is a fully integrated hybrid threat actor. It's not just a staging ground anymore. The Lukashenko regime is actively supplying crucial components like microchips that allow Russia to keep building its missiles and get around sanctions.
So they're a direct military and industrial enabler of the war.
Yes, and a distinct security threat to Europe in their own right. They actively use hybrid warfare, like weaponizing migration on the Polish border.
So destroying the Polonez isn't just a tactical win for Ukraine, it's a strategic message. What's the takeaway for NATO and the EU?
The big takeaway is that Europe has to see Belarus as a distinct strategic frontier. The goal should be to find ways to peel Minsk away from Moscow's orbit. If you could do that, you take away Russia's strategic balcony for threatening NATO's eastern flank. This strike just highlights the urgency.
So let's tie this all together for everyone listening.
Okay, first, the Polonez-M is a very real, very dangerous long-range system made possible by Chinese tech. Second, its reported destruction by the Ghosts shows how smart asymmetric warfare can defeat these huge conventional threats.
And most importantly, this system is a massive escalation risk because of its planned nuclear role and its deployment right on NATO's doorstep.
Right, and given that Belarusian officials are now openly talking about putting nuclear warheads on the Polonez, the question for Kyiv and for Brussels is no longer if this is a threat.
The question now is how fast can Europe adapt its own defense posture to counter mobile, dual-capable systems that are operating from a deeply integrated pro-Kremlin state right on its border? This isn't a future problem. It's happening now. You've been listening to Defense Report by Alex and Aria, where we analyze the latest in military strategy, global defense, and advanced weaponry.
Subscribe to Defense Reports, your go-to source for timely, in-depth military and defense reports. We'll catch you next time.